Hey everybody, I hope all is well. I had to go off and come back on. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting the pictures at all. So greetings to all who's going to be coming on tonight. I hope that this evening that you're doing well, that your family is doing well, and we're gonna get right into it tonight. And I hope that you enjoy yourself. And as we all begin to indulge ourselves in Freemasonry and enjoy the contents of tonight's show, I hope that you get something out of it. Tonight's show is simply a dead level, from a dead level. I don't want to go into the second part, but from a dead level, we're going to talk about that tonight and see what does that really mean in regards to Freemasonry. What does a dead level really means? What is a dead level? We're gonna look at that and see what it's gonna be about tonight. I hope that you enjoy the show as we move forward. And peace be unto you, your family, your friends, your jurisdiction, whatever you're doing. I hope in regards to Freemasonry that you are helping to build your lodge, your chapter. I hope that you are putting energy into it and just don't talk about it, be about it. So tonight we're going to get right into it. And greetings to all who are coming on tonight. Anthony Brown, what's up, brother? As a matter of fact, when you come on tonight, just send your lodge, your jurisdiction a shout out. You know, uh, because hey, you know what? This is a different platform. This is not your modern day platform where look, we all gonna grow together. So please, whatever you do, just send your lodge, your chapter out. Even if you ain't a Freemason, just send a shout out. Uh, and no, I'm not gonna be trying to divulge anything in particular tonight, but I do want you to pay close attention because in Freemasonry, a lot of things that we do is hidden from the public eye for certain reasons, being that everybody is not ready for it, and that is the truth. However, tonight we're going to talk about from a dead level. What does that mean? From a dead level, is a person literally being brought back to life? And I'm going to say yes, a person is literally being brought back to life. When we talk about from a dead level, that person is dead. That person is not conscious enough to realize what is happening around them. So tonight, if you don't mind, send your live, send your chapter shout out. Let's get into this discussion tonight. And if you feel that you want to call in and talk about it, please do that. And don't tell me you don't want to go deep. I don't want to hear that. We're gonna have a real conversation tonight. And to anybody who's popping on, if you want to call in, please do so. Also for me, yeah, definitely hit the like up button for me. To the administrators who's going to be coming on a little later, please, let's be respectable in regards to other people in the chat room. We're gonna get into this tonight because sometimes I feel that we miss a lot of things in Freemasonry because it's not being mentioned or people are afraid to talk about it. But it's something that we really need to take a look at. I want to send a big shout out to my brother. He has a book out in his I want to call it something in regards to Christianity and Freemasonry. I'm gonna see if I can look him up, and he's gonna be coming on the show here sometime in the near future, as soon as we can arrange a date. I can't even. He's gonna, he's gonna get upset at me because I can't think of his name. He's gonna be like, Brother Hawkins, really? You gonna treat me like that? No pun intended, Grandmaster. None attended. No pun intended. I gotta go back in here and make sure I get his information because that's not good. I want to send Grandmaster Antonio from Florida a big shout out. Grandmaster, what's going on down there in Florida? Send big Grandmaster shout out. Let me see. What is his name? That's not good. But anyway, it'll come back to me. Ugh, I tell you. But anyway, sending a big shout out to everybody out there tonight. We're going to get right into this today. So greetings. What's up, Robert? What's up, man? 357 from Mississippi. What's going on, man? Yeah. There is no place like home. I'm from Mississippi. Ain't no place like home, but I can only do 2 weeks there, and I gotta come on back. I can't be there for a long time, cause y'all gotta find this brother here somewhere he don't need to be. So let's see who else is popping up. Just sending everybody a big shout out. What's up, Anthony Brown? Sweet Onion City, Georgia Mountain. All right, PHA 147. Welcome aboard. I appreciate you. Great to have you aboard. Freemason Blood Sacrifice. I'm not a Mason, but a big shout out, peace and shalom. Very great. I appreciate that. Malcolm, what's going on with you, Malcolm Prophet? Appreciate you. Jerry Bill, what's happening with you? Appreciate you. Christopher D. Jones, what's happening? PHO in the house. Kansas City. All right. Most wish for Prince Hall Grand Lodge Family Incorporated, Orlando, Florida. What's going on with you, David Weatherspoon? Appreciate you. Well, we're going to get right into this like right now. And for those who will probably be coming on later, just want to send a big shout out to everybody, every jurisdiction around the way. Definitely looking forward to fellowshipping with you soon. On January 25th, I'm traveling to Columbus, Ohio, Latter-day Saints Temple to work, eat, meditate, and pray individually and as a family. All right, congratulations. Congratulations. King Solomon out of Dallas, 357. Unrecognized by mainstream. PHA Panic Lodge. Oh, Hispanic Lodge. Okay. All right. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Brother, you are recognized. You don't need mainstream to solidify who you are. My brother, you're not. Come on now, Occasion. Come on now. You don't. Nah, come on. Don't do me like that. I'll give you a call. Okay, Charles, hit me up later, baby. St. John's number 42 out of Chicago, Illinois. What's going on with you? Greetings. Man, right now, Brother Green, right now, it's all good, man. I can't complain. You know, I've had a wonderful weekend. Me and the wife went out, man. We went dancing. I loved it. I had Brother Michael Rogers from Raleigh, North Carolina. I want to make sure I say that right. I don't want nobody to come looking for me. Is Raleigh in North Carolina or is it South Carolina? Somebody, I just need a little help. I don't care. But yeah, I had a great time this weekend, man. The family as well. What's up, Brother Tucker, I'm sorry. Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite Masonry. All right. Greetings. North Carolina, thank you very much. Sending a big shout out to North Carolina, North Kakalaka, as they like to say. Don't be laughing at me. We're going to get right into this tonight. We're going to get right into it tonight, though. But check it out. So you know how we do it in Freemasonry, right? You know how we do it. We like to talk about, dead level to a living perpendicular. You know the rest, how that rest of that thing go. But what is it to be raised from a dead level? What is it? I can name right off the top several people that has been so-called raised from a dead level. And you may be wondering, what are you getting at tonight? When you talk about a dead level, what are you really talking about? Come on now. We know how we are as Masons. You know how we get down. And we talk about that, How long you been a Mason? Since I've been, the Q&A that we do, the language that we give between each other. So what we're going to talk about tonight is that dead level. What is that dead level? And when you are raised from a dead level, what angle are you at? What angle are you at when you are raised from a dead level? Because some of us have never really thought about it. That's my personal opinion, that some of us have never thought about it. I hear my dog barking. I probably got company coming. But that's something we really need to kind of consider and think about, because I believe that we forget that sometime. We really do. So we're going to get right into it. So when I consider being raised from a dead level, I'm thinking of here. because this is where heaven is at. This is where it all take place at. Everything. This is the main central line. This is it. It all takes place here. Because people think of more of a physical thing when you're talking about being raised from a dead level, but it's all here. Heaven and hell is here. You can either take yourself to heaven or take yourself to hell, but it's all going to be here. And let me tell you why. Because in the Egyptian esoteric side of Freemasonry, dealing with Osiris and Isis, Isis being the moon, Osiris being the sun. When you look at that, yeah, I did say that. I did. And you can go look this up for yourself. It can either be one or the other, but if I'm not mistaken, Osiris is the sun and Isis is the moon. Okay? So when we begin to see this, this is where you get the raising from a dead level to a living perpendicular. This is where you get that from. If you don't believe me, just go ahead and do your own research, and this is what you're going to come across. Now, if you come across something different, you want to add on to it, I'm taking that. What about Native American spiritually? Does Mason speak of such? Oh, come on, Alex. Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, there are Indians who are Freemasons, and they have a different type of degree work that they do outside. There are Masons who are Indians, or there are Indians who are Masons who do degree work outdoors. It's more of the nature. It's more of the coming and being part of nature when they do their degree work. That's what it is. The call-in number is going to be 619-985-1184. As soon as my administrators can get on tonight, they will pop that in. But definitely is going to be 619 985 1184. That's the call-in number tonight. So if you want to get in it, come on, get in it. But yeah, definitely. So the earlier form of when we first hear of being raised from a dead level, it is before Christ is even on the scene. It is. When we hear about being dead, being raised from a dead level, it is before Christ is even on the scene. This is in the Egyptian text. Even if you read in the Book of the Dead and some of the other Egyptian writings and some of the esoteric side of Freemason, they would explain to you this is before the man we know as Christ arrives on the scene, that we hear of this story. Okay, it is not the first time, as I've said before, that this story has been told. The fact of the matter is, you need to go find out for yourself, and you would know. So as you can see in the picture in the marquee for the night, that you will see a lion raising Osiris. You'll see that. And then you will see, no, a lion raising Isis, and Osiris is standing in the background. The thing is when you become raised from that dead level, what angle are you at? What angle? Could somebody answer that for me? I know the answer. What angles are you at? Because some of us don't know the angle or the degree that we're at when we were raised. And don't tell me no 45. It's not 45. It's not. So don't get that to me. I might be buffering a little bit. So as I think I'm buffering a little bit. So as we begin to get into this thing we call Freemasonry, there's a lot of undercurrents and waves and things that are taking shape and taking form. If I'm buffering, could you hit that I'm buffering? Let me know, because I think I'm in and out a little bit. Yeah, they have a lodge called Aztec Lodge, but how far do they degree work go? I don't know exactly how far their degree work go as far as the Indians are concerned. I do know that they go up to the third degree. I do know that, but as far as that is concerned, how far the degree work go, I don't know. So if I'm buffering, just let me know, because it seems that I'm buffering a little bit. Vincent, you right, brother. 90. That's all. You come up 90 degrees, brother. How have you ever given that some thought? I mean, when you think of Christ, even he was raised. Oh, you don't hear me though. You're like, you lost your mind. No, he was raised. He was raised from a dead level. Oh, he was raised. He was raised twice. Oh, you don't think so? You need to go back and do some reading. Greetings, everybody who's coming on. Yes, man, it is a dead level. He is 180 degrees. He is straight, laid down like a horizontal sun for him to raise upon the plane's existence. He must be raised up perpendicular. This is 90. Yes, sir. Isis is the moon. Prostate glands, and Osiris is the sun. Pineal gland. Oh boy, you guys are on something tonight. So, like we are raised by the law of God. I don't know. Am I still on tonight? Somebody need to help me out. I don't know. I was buffering. I'm just trying to see if I'm still on tonight. 6:52. Yeah, I think so. Could somebody like punch something? Let me know if I'm still on tonight. You're perfect, man. No, okay. Great. I'm watching another screen, and it seemed like I was just going in and out. I was buffering. I got stuck somewhere along the line. But anyway, as I continue, tonight we're talking about that dead level. So we know that even in the Christ man, he was raised, right? Remember when he said that he was going to raise that temple up in 3 days? Remember that? You remember that when they put him on the cross, they raised him up 90 degrees and dropped him. Boom. Right? He was raised then. That was one time. That was the last. Well, I'm going to say that was the second time he was raised. The first time he was raised was during his baptism. Remember? That was the first time he was raised. The next time he was raised is on the cross. The third time he was raised when he walked out of the tomb. So he was raised 3 times. I'm just saying, but we never really consider that. You remember when he told Nazareth, he calls Nazareth 3 times, and he raised them up. And they said that his body had a stench on it, so the skin cleaved from his bones as he was called to raise up. I'm just saying, we need to start looking at these things that we talk about and read about from a different perspective, because some of us are still dead. Some of us don't know what it is to be raised. I mean, legitimately raised. Because what we see is when we talk about we've been raised, that's a higher level, my brothers. You're supposed to be something different than where you were at when you was dead. This is what masonry is supposed to do for the person who's looking to come into what we call night, or to become illuminated. This is why, once again, as I often say, as that into apprentice, you are supposed to occupy your mind with some useful knowledge. You're not just supposed to sit around and wait for your brothers to give you stuff. Hey, brother, read this. No, you're supposed to say, look, I need to occupy my mind, because an idle mind is the devil's playground. These are just some truth and some facts. Okay, these are just some truth and facts. When you begin to indulge yourself in it, and you will come to realize and say, damn, really? Oh yeah, really. This is some real stuff. If you want to call in tonight, once again, that number is 619-985-1184. I need to turn the volume up on my phone just in case somebody want to give me a shout out. I certainly would appreciate it to be all good, because this is a little different show tonight. So please hit the like button. Hello, can I help you?
Greetings, brother. This is Most Learned. Peace.
Most Learned. Oh, okay. I'm in for that. Talk to me.
first of all, I want to say peace to all my family out there. This is a very dear subject to me. I think this is one of the most important subjects within the mystery system itself. Not just within Freemasonry, but within Sufism, within the Kabbalah, within esoteric Buddhism. And one of the things that I believe that this points to on an esoteric level is us as individuals obtaining our own Christhood and our own enlightenment and our own consciousness.
But even, okay, you say your Christhood, and I'm going to agree with you on that. However, that's scary to somebody when you talk about Christhood. Are you still on with me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
So the things you talk about can scare some people, especially in Freemasonry, because most people look at Freemasonry as a social club. The things we talk about on this show, most people wouldn't talk about even in their lodge meetings. Okay, so when you talk about being raised to a Christhood, like, or to be perfect, that scares a lot of people because they've always been told that you can't be perfect. But in churches, but in other places, they tell you that the Christ man said, be ye perfect as I am perfect. So why can't you be perfect? We choose not to.
That's true, but I think that this also deals with one of the reasons that we start out on the dead level, because we are a people and we are a species with amnesia. We have forgot the true righteous and divine teachings. One of the most important things, especially with that picture that you have up, with the lion's grip, with Osiris laying an Isis over him. This particular piece from the ancient schools of Kemet in Egypt, Africa, this is one of the oldest, and this is one of the oldest markers that has come down to us of this lost science, of this lost technique.
Right.
From the Quran to the Bible, the Quran tells us that Allah is closer to us than our jugular vein. The Bible tells us that the kingdom of heaven lies within. In Psalms 82:6, it tells us that ye are gods. I believe it's in 1 Corinthians 11:3. It said that the head of the man is Christ. When you look at the word Christ comes from Christos, anointed, which comes from the Hebrew word Messiah, which means anointed. The anointing meant, Horus was called anointed. Buddha was called anointed. What this is calling us to is it's calling us to go within ourselves to raise that divinity, that spark of divinity that we have within us, and to manifest it, not only in a mystical level, dealing with our thoughts and with our consciousness, but also in a physical level by us refining ourselves and turning our physical, this base metal, and refining ourselves into gold.
Okay. But what you're saying, I'm going to agree, and I'm listening to what you're saying. I like that. I don't just like it as in I like what I hear, but there's some facts to that. The problem that we run into in Freemasonry, and this show is in regards to Freemasonry, is most people won't get that.
Unfortunately, because the authorities in Freemasonry, the individuals, and this isn't all temples and this isn't all organizations, and most of what's been set down has been set down by European lodges that affect our schools here. But we have to remember that these lodges come from Kemet, Africa, Egypt, that these are our schools. Even when we go back and we look at the Grand Master Imhotep, when Imhotep was sent back to find the source, and this is one of the things that we learn through researching the text of Dr. Ben, a fabulous African scholar. Bless this brother. Imhotep wrote, "We came from the beginning of the Nile, where God happy dwells, from the foothills of the mountain of the moon. The first dynastic pharaohs that we have that lived in Taseti, the land of the bow in the Sudan, in Qustal. That's where we find the first evidence in the Sudan of the pharaonic dynasties before Narmer moved down and reunified what we know as Egypt today. So we have an obligation to ourselves as a people to study our system, but not a system that has been watered down through
That's
years.
The thing. That's the problem right there. When you say our system, most people will not believe what you're saying. They don't believe that we have a system. And the problem come into play is that we don't even know that we had a system a lot of times. We're always dependent on somebody else to say that, yes, you're absolutely right. We need somebody to reform or to reconnect us or to say, yes, you are right. We can't just be outright by our own knowledge, our own wisdom, our own reading. We need somebody to reaffirm who we are. And this is where acceptance come into play. When you need someone to accept you, when you need someone to identify and say, yeah, you are right, then to me, there is the problem. And this is where we're at a lot of times, even in Freemasonry. Some of us need someone to identify and say, yeah, I accept you.
That's true. But that happens in all schools of thought. And I think that that's not just a pitfall that brothers within certain lodges fall up in, brothers within that study Islam, brothers that study Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, regardless to what it is, that's one of the primary psychological pitfalls of acceptance that we fall into. And that is one of the reasons that brothers like you are so important, because we now live in a time unlike we have ever lived before, when the information, not only the information as far as the craft and the information as far as the various other schools, but the historical and scientific knowledge that is there. And bless you for what it is that you're doing, because your voice, you sir, are a voice out of millions that is taken upon yourself a labor that is going to do more for the world and the people in the world than probably since individuals like Manly P. Hall, who did speak up and did bring this knowledge to the brothers, just what it is that you're doing. But I'm not going to stay on here long tonight. I just wanted to hear your voice, to bless you.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening, bro. I'm just listening with an attentive ear.
But we'll touch base, brother, and we'll touch base. I know you have some other individuals that are calling in, but I just wanted to speak that to my people that I love them. Now, I will say this. I will say this. There was a story in the Bible where Moses was leading the children of Israel out of the promised land. And we can dissect that esoterically 7 different ways. But I'll say this. The older generation had to die off. They didn't make it to the promised land.
No, they did.
It's going to be younger brothers. The younger brothers now, they don't have the psycho-slavery and the beatdown in them like unfortunately some of the older generations do. So I think it's going to be upon many of us younger brothers that have this knowledge, that have gone and sought these teachings, like myself, that hasn't actually gone through the various degrees in the temple, but have got it from the rough by going to find it and being led by our hearts and being led by sharp intellects and being brought to this. We are brought to this by what is in us. We unlock something within ourselves, and that's what's brought us to this point. So I think that what we see, we're starting to see an emergence of a new world. We're starting to see an emergence of a new mind. And unfortunately, we do have to grapple with that old dogmatic mentality. But there's a new people. Our people are producing something new, a new way of thought, a new being, in a new pharaoh, a new intellect in America. And I think as this movement, as this wisdom goes out, it's going to produce golden fruit.
And I'm going to say this. In every decade, in every century, our people has produced greatness. The ideal is that it's been hidden.
Truth.
They have taken our greatness, put their stamp on it, put their name on it, and then we're looking like boo-boo the fool because people consider us, you've never done nothing. All you've been able to do is dribble a ball, throw a ball, sing, dance, tap dance, speak. You know, those are the things that they've given us, but we've always been people of greatness. The problem is that we don't teach that to the young kids. Like my grandkids, when they come over, I always tell them how great they are. I'm not waiting on the next Malcolm. I'm not waiting on the next King, the next I'm not waiting on any of them because we are the next whoever. I'm the next Tony Hawkins, Muhammad. You are the next whatever. Brother, what's your name again?
My name is Antoine Moore, brother.
Okay. But
yes, sir.
You are that next. You are the next. So I'm not here to compare anybody. You know how they say the next LeBron James or the next Michael Jordan. There will never be another Michael Jordan. There will never be another LeBron James. Some people may do better in basketball. Some people may do. They're built for that time, for that era. There will never be another Martin Luther King. He's done.
True.
Okay? But there's another person who can be just as great as he once were. Okay? There'll never be another Malcolm X or Garvey. I'm not saying there'll never be any more individuals that come along that will be greater than. There are. They're right here. They're born today. We just have to be there to see their greatness.
And to feed that, brother, and I appreciate, again, I appreciate you feeding that spirit, brother, because a lot of those little seeds, like Garvey said, a lot of those cubs that were in the bushes, I consider myself one of those cubs because my father was in the Nation of Islam, and I came up under individuals that were in the Moorish Science Temple, and I had the opportunity. I didn't get bogged down in. I kept my mind free and continued to seek knowledge, and it's sad to see that our knowledge, that we were hit over the head by ignorance, superstition, and fear.
Right.
And then our teachings were taken and wrapped up and sold back to us and dictated to us our history, and that we have to pay to receive that back, our inheritance.
Absolutely. We do. We pay it back by allowing somebody else to tell us that you are accepted.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I've said it 100 times and I say it again. I would rather be loved by my own, accepted by my own, than to be loved by anybody else.
Truth. This is truth, brother.
Because if I ever got into any situation, I'm running home. I'm running home.
Yes, sir.
You know? I mean,
yes,
let's just be honest. It's just like when Christ, it is told that when they heard about the decree that went out, his parents go. They went home. It's like, hey, let's go down in Egypt. Let's go where the people are at. And you couldn't find the boy. He looked like everybody else.
Like everybody else.
You know? And this is something that we have to really look at. Okay, so are you going to remain dead? Or are you going to come up 90 degrees? It's not even a compromise in that. You're either going to remain dead or you're going to come up. And some of us who are in this thing that I love so much called Freemasonry remains dead because they believe in the organization as a social club. They believe as in a friendship thing. And it is a friendship thing. It is. But it's more than just that.
Yeah,
it is deeper than just that. But we've made it so anybody can become a Mason till it's not worth being a Mason in a sense almost, because anybody can be a Mason. Anybody. Not just because you pick up a book, because a lot of people have turned it into this social club, and it was never meant to be that way. It was meant to enlighten. It was meant to raise you up. It was meant to do those things. It was meant to be illuminating. But it's somehow is flickering right now. And some of us who have this knowledge, some of us who has this ability to touch somebody and to show them something a little different, we're going to have to be that voice, as you said earlier. We're going to have to be that spark in the night. That's what we're going to have to be. Because if we're not, we're looking at an organization that once meant so much to a lot of people won't be around very long. It's going to change. It's going to change, just as it has always done. And it's only going to be for a select few people. And that may be just the place for it to be, only for select few people. Everybody's not worthy to be a Mason. Everybody's not worthy to be an Eastern Star. You're not. I don't care how big your organization is or how small. Everybody is not ready for what the true essence of Freemasonry or the Eastern Star works is going to be laying down for you. You're not ready. But because you're my boy, you my friend, I'm going to bring you in. And you're the very one, as I've said before, that'll tear up the organization. Because you are not ready for the illuminating light. You're not ready to indulge yourself in some studies that may take you down a rabbit hole that you are not ready for. See, you're not ready for somebody to say that, brother, you remind me of God. You ain't ready for that. How do I remind you of God? There's an old Christian song, fairly new, maybe about 20 years old, and it goes something like, the Jesus in me love the Jesus in you. And I know some people say, well, Jesus never exists. That's great. Allah never exists. That's great. Have it how you want to have it. I'm just saying there's something about the melanated man that is different than any other man on the planet. We should not even be around right now. We shouldn't. Look at what they're trying to do to us, melanated people. Look at it. Right now over in, I think I want to say Puerto Rico. Right now, which is part of the territories of the United States of these Americas. They just had a 6-point something earthquake. I ain't heard nothing on television about it. Nothing at all. And them people look just like me. Whether they may be a little bit more caramel, a little bit more darker, but them my people.
The diaspora is wide.
Repeat that?
The diaspora, the African diaspora is wide. And one of the primary things that we have to remember, our species is called Homo sapiens sapien. And our species had its origin in Africa. We are all Africans. But again, we are a species with amnesia. So there are a lot of people that forget that. And we forget our kinship to Africa. And we also forget our kinship to our fellow man.
Well, I will tell you this here. Come April, you're going to look at me a whole lot different than you look at me now. For those who know exactly what I'm saying. And I keep talking about April because April is going to be special to me. And it's going to be special to you too. It's going to be special to the members of the craft also. See, I'm going to share this with you. When I do something as a Mason, as a husband, as a family man, it's for everybody that's around me. It's not just for me. And when you see it that way, life becomes different for you. I'm not just doing things just because. No, this is for everybody that knows me. If I come up, you should come up.
True.
Bar none. Period. But if you're going to cut my hand, I got to let you go. I'm not saying we're not going to have our disagreements, but there's a difference when you're just trying to cut a brother up. So if I come up, why can't you come up? If I got a nice car, why can't you have a nice car?
That's wisdom, brother.
But see, that's what I was taught. Even, just coming up, but more so when I became a Mason, around the older heads that I was around. So I want to be able to pass that along because the things I'm talking about was given to me. I've never been in, I am now, but when I was coming up, there were some hard times in life. I'm not saying I don't have them now, but they was much harder. But those adults, those old men around me gave me something. They said, look, Brother Hawks, we have apartments. You know, your child need a babysitter. You need a babysitter for your daughter. My wife runs a daycare. You don't. I got you. See, and now I'm in a position. I'm of age now. I can probably do the same for some people, and I don't mind. But if you cut me, I gotta let you go. I don't like bleeding too much, brother. You know what I mean? So in the process, when we talk about being raised from that dead level, we're talking about to a higher plane. And if I'm going to a higher plane, damn it, you got to come with me. You can't stay there. And but it's your choice.
But that also that's the divine spark in you, brother, because that is a tremendous amount of that's a tremendous amount of wisdom right there. Now, I do mean wisdom, and that comes from the heart. And when we go back and we look at the teachings of our people, especially those groups and those kingdoms that still have portions. You know, we speak about the Native Americans and their degrees, but few times do we hear individuals speak about the African kingdoms that had these degrees that were outside of the land of Kemet. But when you go back and you look at what the people of Kemet called the Netters, we call them now gods. We say, oh, these were the gods of Egypt. But the people of Kemet called them Netters. Mm-hmm. Netter was a force. It was a force. It was a divine natural aspect because these people studied nature and they studied themselves. Man, know thyself. Mm-hmm. We see these teachings. We are a species that has a 350,000 year history that we know of, and we keep pushing it back farther. Mm-hmm. Many of these ideas and many of these concepts, these teachings, have been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years. Mm-hmm. When we go back and we look at the Netters in the land of Egypt, we see that these are ideas and concepts that were spread out wide over the land of Africa, even into places now, North Africa, that is now just desert. But we know that prior to 7,000 years ago, there was a period in North Africa that was called the African Aqualithic. And if nobody listens to anything it is that I'm saying tonight, write that down. African Aqualithic. This was a time when the Sahara Desert was a fertile, lush grassland with super, not just lakes, with super lakes in it. Mm-hmm. And we go back 40,000 years and we see rock carvings of animals, boats, of organization. We see the signs of royalty. And we see that these are the individuals in this area that the pharaohs themselves called the followers of Horus. Mm-hmm. So much, I'm not going to go into it too much right now because I like to have the dates in front of me. But I think that the students that are listening can go back and do the research themselves and research that period and look at the spread of knowledge there in the motherland and what it is that we've done. But I see you have someone else there with you, brother. I want to go ahead and let you go.
No, that's man, master, man. It's just, he just come by to visit. You're good. Go ahead, talk to me. You all right?
But that's those periods and those people, brother. When before this knowledge. Before we went out, before we left 100,000 years ago, before we left the motherland and we left out and we went into Yemen and Yemen and crossed over into Asia, before we went into North Africa, right now, on the North African continent, it's now within the borders of the country called Israel. But people forget that half of Israel is on the North African continent. Israel is in Africa. there's a place that is called Al Wad, where we have a cave complex, and the cave complex was used for storage of food and grain. And outside that complex, there was a terrace where we know that the people lived. And we have the bodies, the fossil body evidence smoking gun of Africans that had migrated to North Africa, beside Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthals, and we have the first generation offspring of the mixture of Homo sapiens sapien and Homo neanderthalensis. We know that some people have up to 2.5 to 3.5 Neanderthal DNA in them, predominantly the individuals that were in Europe, because this is where those brothers' homeland was. And there were five primary genes that we now have in our genetic mixture today that we got from them. Two of the genes for light skin, this is where it came from. A gene for red hair and freckles, a gene that we associate with arthritis, and a gene that we associate with a nicotine dependency. Now, this is just the science,
and that is the uniqueness about who we are.
True.
Because within us, you can get everything.
True.
And people don't realize how they'll try to destroy us. You take us out of the equation, you have nothing on this planet.
True.
But how many of us can actually see that? Because we're so dependent on other people identifying who we are, instead of we saying, this is who we are. This is who I am. When they talk about I am the cream of the crop, this is who I am. And when you come to that level of understanding who you are, everything else is secondary. Look, as I've said before, when our forefathers were slaves, they ate slop because they were slaves, and this is what was given to them. They were the cream of the crop, whether they stayed in slavery or whether they fought to be free. Those individuals who made it over here on them ships were the cream of the crop. They survived some hella shit, okay? Now, the process is, those who jumped overboard, they were the cream of the crop. The process is, those who jumped overboard, they were the cream of the crop. They was like, hell no, I ain't going that route. My life, I'm done. I'm jumping overboard. Kudos. Those who made it, but to sit idly by and don't see that, and don't understand what you come from, is sad. It hurts not to know who you are, in the essence of knowing that everything is in you.
But that is one of the important things to point out, brother. They teach the average individual in school, and this is Plato. Plato even said himself. Plato said that Greek education is swine education.
Woo.
He said, Plato said himself, he said, they translated sometimes the pork. He said it's swine. He said Egyptian education, the Kemetic education, was superior to Greek education because the Kemetic people had one thing that the Greeks didn't. They had philosophy. See, in our education system today, from 1 through 12, you learn the same things. Reading, writing, arithmetic. They make you a worker bee. You learn just a higher level of math, a higher level of reading, a higher level of nothing. And then you have individuals that graduate high school and then they go wild because they have no philosophical education.
None.
We have to return the philosophical education to our people. And that's one of the key things, the key jewels that Freemasonry still retains. But until we have that philosophy, until we have regained that philosophy of who it is we are and our proper place in the world, because we are life givers. And one of the primary sicknesses that came into the world today because the primary doctors, us, our hearts, our minds, our spirits that have been refined over thousands of years have been shackled by ignorance, superstition, and fear. People are afraid to learn. And one of the strange things about it in the institutions of higher learning, just the educational aspect, for instance, the genetic aspect that I was speaking about, individuals can go back and they can research the works of Harvard professor Dr. David Reich, who is at the, pardon me?
No, I'm going to share this with you. Since
Yes,
you
sir.
went to the medical side of things, when doctors begin their journey and to become a doctor,
They take the Hippocratic oath.
They do, but check this out also. A lot of them are sent over to Africa to sit with the witch doctors. Now ask me how I know and I'll tell you so. But let me get to this point first.
Okay.
Once they have gone over, sat with them, and gotten these different herbs and remedies for certain things, come back over here, they make them in a pill form. They don't give you the herbal form. They give you the pill form because everything that we need for this body is already here to cure every known ailment to this body. This is why some things are created to fight the body, such as AIDS, such as the swine flu, such as any other known man-made diseases. You can look them up and they got patents on them, so you know it's man-made. But
True.
there are cures to everything that ails us as human beings. But you know, they can't tell you that. That's not some big secret. We just know. This is why a lot of us who are African Americans or Negroes or whatever you want to call it don't go to the doctor, because we know that they've used us for experiments,
which they've done before.
You know, and don't think they're not doing it now. Why so many of our black women come up missing? I mean, I'm kind of getting off the subject a little bit, in a sense, being brought from a dead level, but this should raise your consciousness to look at who you are and what we're all about, and to protect the female, our mothers and our sisters, because let me tell you, even a woman can raise a nation. The problem is, do she like the nation she's raising? Because that's where a man comes. You know, do she like the nation she's raising? Because when we look at our problems that we have, then you hear a mother say, if she don't like that father, you're gonna be just like your father. No good, you're worthless, you're this, you're that. Instead of putting something in him that he can raise up to from that dead level to say, hey, you can be better than your dad. You can be greater than your dad. You can be successful at this, successful at that. But as long as you're putting that poison into that child, and when he goes out and do the devilish shit, you're gonna be shaking your head.
Many of us were fed ignorance with our mother's milk from the earliest stages. We still see it now, but that's when again, there's an attack. There's an attack on the minds of the people when it comes from many different. There's not just one group out there. I mean, you have many different industries. From luxury industries to pornography industries, many of the things they set individuals up like Cardi B's, and these become the idols and the individuals that a lot of these sisters they idolize. But it's a strong point that for us to not only better ourselves, but for us to better the world, that women must demand something more out of themselves, and they must demand something more out of the men. When you look back, the word Pharaoh is a Greek word that was derived from the Kemetic word Perah. Perah was not a person. Perah meant high house. High house. The head of the high house was the woman. The high house was the matriarchal house. Pharaoh, the individual, was only Pharaoh because he was married to the high priestess, and he had a military obligation to fulfill. But the women were the ones that actually ran the house itself. And they hide. Now, this is the teaching. This is what they don't want you to know. The same way that they don't want you to know about those kingdoms that now live, that are now under the sand, those artifacts that are under the sand in places like northern Chad, where the land of Yam was. The kingdoms that are in southern Libya that existed 14,000 years ago. We're talking about a time before the end of the Ice Age. We're talking about something prior to 10,500 BC. This is just a glimpse. This is just a glimpse into our history. When you're talking about 10,000, brother, when you're talking about 10,000 BC, we got easy dates, easy artifacts, easy knowledge on things that were happening 11,000 years ago. We don't even have phenotypically modern day Europeans until 2,000 years ago.
Well, that's true. I mean, really, that's just the fact of the matter.
It's a fact.
That is a fact. That's not a fairy tale. That is a fact. But in knowing that, it's hard for a lot of us to get away from that, though. You know, it's hard for you to realize who you are when you've been told that you ain't worth shit for a long time. I'm just putting it out there. It's hard for people to say I am somebody when I've been told all my life I was nobody. But we need, as men, as women, as daughters, as sisters, to begin to lift up each other. So, and to me, where the Masons and where the Eastern Stars are coming to play is that we know that our brothers and sisters use this thing and enhance it to enhance the Underground Railroad. We know that. We know that the Masons and the Eastern Stars played a large part in that. The process is that it's been flipped. And when I say it's been flipped because we see other people who uses it to say, well, if I don't consider you to be such, then you're not. Instead of saying, well, damn, I don't need you to tell me who I am. That's my system anyway. As a matter of fact, I can take this system and flip it and make it mine. Look at my boy, what's his name? The gang member that had his own language. Hoover? No, the one they had in the jails underground. Hoover. Look at that brother. He developed his own system, his own language, to where only the gang members was able to write my letter. They looked at that shit like, what is that? Think of how that was genius. So no matter how you try to cut us up and cut us down, we always rise up. The process is that we all need to rise up.
True.
We all need to rise up, you know? And when we see that, what I want for me, I should want for you. When you get to that level of thinking, a lot of people don't want to be around you. No, bro. When you get to that level of thinking, what I want for you, or let me see, what I want for myself, I want for you. When you get to that level of thinking, a lot of people can't be around you.
I believe that there's a certain magnetism that comes when you're living right. When you start to get into, and this gets back into being raised to that living perpendicular. When you start to live right and you start to get that glow about you, when you are refining yourself, when you are refraining from improper thought and you are refraining from improper deeds, violations against yourself, that lost word, that lost doctrine, that lost science that was lost, that ISIS replaced with the golden phallus. When you start to get into these things, and this is some of the techniques that monks still use to this day Eastern countries, and it's even practiced in some of the Native American systems as well. But when you start to live that life and radiate that energy, there are certain individuals that are going to be repelled from you, and there are certain individuals that are going to gravitate. There are certain individuals that are going to gravitate because they're going to see that light within you. So I believe, and this is my thing for a lot of the older brothers, it's a lot of wisdom out there, I know. But this young generation is a special generation, gentlemen. You know, this young generation now that's out here, these young brothers, these brothers just ain't going for just anything. Look at what happened. Look at what happened when these individuals are shooting these young brothers down in the streets. What's happening? We are reacting to it differently. And with the knowledge,
in other words, this is not your mom and daddy's civil rights movement.
No, sir, it's not. No, sir, it's not. But it's a reactionary movement a lot of times instead of being revolutionary, because a lot of these brothers haven't been given knowledge of self and they don't know who it is that they are. Mm-hmm. So my challenge is to the older brothers, to the masters that have this science, that have this knowledge. What good does that knowledge do you if you're not going out and breathing life into these young brothers? Mm-hmm. Brothers' minds haven't been tampered with the way that we grew up on movies about National Treasury, you know, movies about the Freemasons and the Templars, and reading books about this and that. And now we have a tremendous amount of knowledge at our fingertips. And when you're dealing with something like Freemasonry, you're dealing with an exact science. And so,
but see, wait. When you say that, when you deal with Freemasonry, you're dealing with an exact science, something that progress and not regress. A lot of people can't handle that because they say, well, you know, we've always done it this way. We can't change now. And I tell people all the time, Freemasonry as we know it today was not Freemasonry 1,000 years ago, 300 years ago. Well, it hadn't only been around 300 years ago. It's been around 300 years ago because that's what's been told to you. That's what's been given to you. Freemasonry has always been here in other names. It has been here in other sciences. It has always been here.
True.
Go ahead.
Yeah, since the beginning of recorded time, we can go back and we can look and we can see the symbolism throughout the world. But these are things that we can go back and we can show and we can prove. So that's my thing. If you know your lessons, and you're not just what Noble Drew Ali said, a sign can point the way. A sign can point the way. But if you know your lessons, if you know what it is you say you profess to know, then you should be able to take that like a surgeon, like a scalpel, and you should be able to remove the cancerous ideology that's in a lot of these young brothers and a lot of these young sisters out here. So that's my challenge. That's what I call the brothers too, because I'm telling you, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Whoa!
From what it is,
time out. Oh my goodness, Carolina. Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
Woo-wee. I'm only saying hold up because, man, that's a fight within itself.
I mean, it is, but you know, I'm an 80s baby. I'm 39 years old. You know, when I was raised in Virginia, in the foothills of the mountains, in, you know, rebel territory.
Okay.
You know, so I remember, brother, you know, they threw bricks through our window when we was young. You know, and I'm biracial. You know, my father's of Kenyan, North African, Yoruban, and Sub-Saharan African descent, and my mother is Dutch Irish.
Dang.
So
yeah, bro.
Yeah, I am the movement. You know, I am the people. So when I speak, I don't speak. I don't say the things that it is that I say. You know, eerily. You know, when I say that we are all Africans, you know, truly we are all that wise, dominant, upright species, and we are the rulers, not Neanderthal not the Denisovans, not Homo floresiensis or any of these other species that have fallen off. We are it, and we, especially in America, have a special task at hand today. Mm-hmm. And one of the primary, it can't be done without this ideology and this philosophy being returned to the people. That is the primary thing. Freemasonry can be either one or two things right now to the people in America. And this ain't just black folks, because we have an obligation. You see what I'm saying? Not only to ourselves, but to the planet itself. Mm-hmm. Because regardless of wherever it is that you go, you see that old European ideology destroying and being destroyed. Look at what happened in the Middle East. All the nutrients, all the resources that was taken out of the Middle East, to the point that the Middle East collapsed on itself. And then you had a flood of Middle Eastern people into Europe. Europe isn't even going to look the same in 10 years. Thank God.
No.
Thank God.
No.
They wanted it. Now they got it. You know what I mean? And they can deal with it now. But us, we have a medicine within us. We have a healing within us that we can bring to the people. And Freemasonry is either going to be that injection of steroids that gives the people what it is that they need to grow and develop and do what our ancestors had ingrained into us through chanting and prayer and meditation, or it's either going to be a shot of, what's it called? It's going to be a shot of poison. I'm listening.
I'm gonna share this with you. In the degree of the secret Mason, it says that Masonry is useful for all men, but it's not for all men. It says that Freemasonry, therefore, should be for men of honor, should be for men of consciousness, should be for men who preferring their duties in reverence to God. It should be for men who don't mind obeying the law. When I say obeying the law, that's not necessarily mean that you have to fall down on a knife. I'm just saying the law, just for what it is. Don't take nothing and add nothing to it. All right. It should be a people of substance. If you have no substance, you really shouldn't be a Mason. And when I say substance, I'm talking about something that you're going to be able to take out of yourself and give to someone else and raise them up from that dead level. You got to have something in you that is able to do that when you are a Mason. If all you ever going to do is sell dinner tickets, all you ever going to do is come to a meeting and go home, and there's no substance in your meetings. There's no life in your meetings. It's all you're going to ever do is talk, and your words have no life in them. Then you need not to even be a Freemason. Because in a secret master degree, that's what it teaches. And I don't know how many brothers just go through these degrees just to say they got them and don't go back and read the degree and see what they're all about. And I'm just sharing that from you from the secret Mason degree on the Scottish Rite side. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
No, I can see that, and knowledge can be given in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Knowledge can be given, in a lot of ways. But there's a tremendous responsibility, not just upon, the brothers in the craft, but the brothers like myself as well. Individuals that have, put in the work and put in the time and gone through these dismal crypts, and these libraries, and really done the soul searching to be able to gain those things. I see nothing but, especially brothers will let you know, when they're ready, you'll see it in them. You have that discerning eye.
In other words, when you're ready, the student will come?
When the student is ready, the master will appear.
Okay, there you go. I appreciate that.
When the student is ready, the master will appear, good master.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So look, we've been on here for about an hour and 9 minutes. I kind of like to keep the show within that time limit because, you go on and on, you kind of lose people. But in the process, I don't want to lose nobody. I don't want us to lose anybody. Be it, I don't know if you are part of the craft or not. Are you?
I've studied. I've had certain brothers have seen the light in me, and they blessed me. But I haven't been in the temple yet. Everything it is that you hear, this is things that, like I said, I've been blessed with because I've studied outside the temple and I've gained these things, brother. So,
well, brother, let me tell you, I appreciate that which you have and that which you've shared with us. I'm just reading a comment right here from Righteous Allah. He says, if Africa is named after a colonizer, then why do you call yourselves Africans? Okay, so I'm going to piggyback on that just for a second. You know, when you whoop somebody's behind, you can call them whatever you want to call them until they stand up and whoop yours. I'm just saying. So now it's called Africa. Until Africa or Africans stand up and say, no, we're going to flip the narrative, it's going to be called that. And it's just what it is right now.
That's true. But I think also, brother, in peace, brother Allah, I think also one of the things, and this is me getting, as I've got more in touch with my Yoruban heritage and my North African heritage, and the individuals there, the Obas there, we have the terms for those places, those ancient terms for those lands. You know, they call it Congo, we call it Congo. They call the people Pygmy, we call the people the Twa.
I'm sort of losing you a little bit. I don't know if I'm on if you're away from your phone or not.
Can you hear me better now?
I got you. Go for it.
I said that, you know, they call it Congo, we call it Congo. They call the people Pygmy, the people call themselves Batutsi. The people call themselves Batwa. See, we don't know the terms because we haven't studied that part of our history. We haven't studied the history, the language, and our roots there. And that is of the utmost importance because all that knowledge is still there. That knowledge was taken from us because it was murdered, raped, and pillaged out of us. But that information is still there, so individuals can. It doesn't take anything, especially in today's time, to get on the internet, go back and learn those terms, brother, and learn that true history. It's all still there, and I will say this. I'll say this as well. Also, I want to say a peace to the brother Akon because he did something really big today. The brother Akon just signed off on the property for the Akon city. There's some tremendously beautiful things going on right now in West Africa. The Africans, the getting rid of the French currency in West Africa.
Hold on.
Yes,
now,
sir.
They may be getting rid of it, but them Frenchmen still got their hands in there.
They do, but it's going to be a process, and this is one of the important things to remember. Because you have individuals, you have the Russians that are there, you have the Chinese that are there, and we're not advocating for any kind of mayhem or slaughter or anything. We're not a people of war, we're a people of peace. But what the people in West Africa and the people in Africa, who they're reaching out to, is they're reaching out to the African Americans. They're reaching out to us.
They are. They really are.
They're reaching out to us, and this is going to be one of the key ways for us to secure our future is to join hands with our family there, brother. Join resources, join intelligence, and from that, once we're reunited and once we realize that that's our family, that's our kinship, you know, and then we begin to get rid of this whitewashing, you know, this brainwashing that our minds went under. Because, you know, a lot of brothers, they still running around with this Stockholm syndrome like Patty Hearst had, you know. So, but that when we get that, when you start researching that, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of spiritual power that's going to come out of it, brother.
That is true. So, look, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. We've been on here 114. I want to appreciate you coming in And you're going to have to text me. Text me your name. I'm going to add you to the show because you added so much enlightenment to it. I just can't say that it's what it is as far as the topic right now. I'm going to edit it. I got to add you to it because you brought some life to it. You added some flavor to it. And I want to say I appreciate that. And this is what we try to do with this particular show. We want those who are illuminated and have that enlightenment about themselves to be able to call and add to the show. This is not your average platform in regards to Freemasonry. We want this, what we call Freemasonry, illuminating light, to light the next candle. It costs you nothing to light a candle. But the ideal is when the candle is lit, don't put it under your bed. Set it on a hill. Let everybody know that you illuminate, and let everybody know that you have some light, some fire about yourself. Stop trying to hide who you are and be who you are. Be the God that is in you. Let everybody know who you are. And stop being embarrassed and straighten yourself up. Hold your head up high. Be that person. Be that man. Stop trying to be the woman. That ain't what it's all about. So look, that's my little 2 cents. You get the last word.
I pray, brothers, pray for us as we will for you. Bless you all. I'd like to invoke the name of one of the master teachers, Emotep, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben, and Sheikh Antediop, and my father, who has passed into the essence, Minister Samuel X. Tucker. And I hope that we have raised brothers' consciousness tonight.
All right. So look, you got to put your name in the post. People are asking, who are you?
Okay.
So I don't know if you watch. I don't know. You got to put it in there, and you got to text it so I can add it to the marquee anyway. But definitely people are asking, well, who is this brother on the other line? So please go ahead and do that for us. We appreciate you calling in. And as I said, definitely, this is what this show is all about. It's not about jurisdiction, what jurisdiction you're in. Now, when it was given to me and I first started out, I was a little hot-headed, man. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, I was. But as the show has come, as I've grown, as I've read, as I've been around my grandmaster now, and those brothers of the craft who has been able to guide me. I'm considered an old head, and I don't mind being guided. As long as you're going to guide me in the right direction. Now, I buck a little bit. I'll be like, oh, no, But as long as you can show me something.
Can I say something?
What you want to say?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Brother, how you brothers doing? I just want to add to the one thing that the brother was saying. There was a question asked. If Africa was colonized by the coloners and named Africa, and how come we call ourselves African American? One thing is, and the brother answered it perfectly, is that one, you have to remember during those times of 400, 500 years ago of slavery, and you was not able to read, and your native tongue was beaten out of you and raped out of you, like the brother said. The one thing that you had that you was able to hold on to was the negative image that was given to you. And the negative image that was given to you was, it wasn't even black at the time, it was Negro, it was boy, it was girl. And during that time, as we grew from that period into becoming black people, into accepting the word Negro, into accepting the word, like I said, black, into accepting from black to African American. That is what we know. Now you can best believe around the world that everyone who has been enslaved, their names in that country is different, but they still go by a certain name, and that would be African. And like the brother said, once you know your history, you end up knowing exactly what lineage you come out of. You end up knowing what part of Africa, whether it was West Africa, whether it was Central Africa, whether it was North or East Africa. You end up knowing whether it was Kemet. out of Kemet, out, like the brother said, out of the Congo. Those are the terms that was given to us during the history books. That's all that we were able to read and understand. But once the internet came about and you were able to do the research and do the studying, you started learning that there were other terms other than what the movie, taking this monkey back to the Congos, back to his mother where he was supposed to be at. All right. So a lot, like I've always said, a lot of stuff is placed in the movies. You just have to understand the movie to pull the jewels out of. So at the same time, we knew Africa as being Africa. We started learning about Kemet through Dr. Ben. We started learning about the Western Africans. We started learning about Southern Africans, because when you talk about Southern Africa, all you knew is they were white. All right. So we started learning that no, they weren't white. You know, we started learning about Tasmania and all of these other countries that's in Africa. You know, even the island that's off the coast of Africa that people won't even talk about until you heard about it in the movie and The Lion King. All right. So until you are able to actually open your mind up enough to study and learn out, whether it's through a DNA challenge, whether you're able to go back into your own lineage and find out what generation had that knowledge and was able to do the ancestral research, that's what we go by.
Madagascar. Yes, thank you.
Madagascar. So once we're able to find that research, and until then, like the brother said, once you have the knowledge, then you start calling yourself something else. Once we knew that we wasn't boy, right, and we became men. That's where I Am a Man back in the '60s with Reverend Jackson came about. Him and Bill Cosby went around saying, "No, I am a man." I remember this back in Chicago when I was in elementary school, when they would come around the elementary schools telling the little black boys, "Look, we're men." And in the Black Panther Party, where my father originated out of, and learning that, okay, well, no, I'm not accepting the term. I'm not going to be called a boy anymore. I am a man. That's where this term came about, because we wasn't boys. All right. And as knowledge progressed, I believe that we will start getting back to the knowledge of the motherland. I believe that we will start understanding exactly what it is and who we are and how we can express ourselves as to who we were. All right. That was just my little knowledge. I was sitting over here, I'm listening, man. I enjoy the conversation always. I don't always jump in. He knows that, but I do enjoy listening to what's being said. And a lot of knowledge is being kicked off here. And I just appreciate you brothers for coming in and sharing the knowledge that you have with all of us, because I do learn something.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
So most learn, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to put you in the marquee for the night. And as always, whatever you do, wherever you go, always keep your light on and stay out the bushes. Good night to everyone, and I salute you. God bless you. And until next time, peace and be well. I'm out.
All right. Peace, brother.
Peace.